Hello everybody and what is up? My name is Lone Shark Joe and I present to you a Resident Evil 7 Nightmare No Guns Allowed. I had this done in 25 minutes and 49 seconds. And when I say no guns allowed, that means I am only allowed to use either the knife or the circular saw. And I have chosen to play with the circular saw because it's more efficient and more powerful than the knife and will therefore make the speedrun time much quicker. Now you might be asking, well hang on, you said you're gonna, use the saw only, then why haven't you bought it from the scrap shop? Well, the reason for that is because the saw costs 3,000 scraps and I at the moment only have 1,750. So what I did was turn on the generators and I'm afraid have to wait until I can save up for the saw. So right now I'm just waiting for the moldeds to spawn, trying to be entertaining. There's really nothing I can do here. And whilst we're waiting, I'm going to go over the spawn points. So the first one is right there, right where that molded spawned is the first spawn point. Another spawn point is I don't know why I got hit there. I was really supposed to dodge. The other spawn point is right here, right there where the sinks are, and I will be doing what's called spawn trapping later on, where you just wait at the spawn point and as soon as they appear you can just cut them up with the saw. Okay, so I'm just walking around and luring the molded towards me, and at the moment I am just saving up for the circular saw, which costs 3,000 scraps. So now I have 2,450. I will have to wait for a little longer. And another very important thing about Nightmare speedruns is that it doesn't matter if you kill the moldeds as soon as you see them or wait. So right now I'm just waiting. I'm not killing any moldeds. It really doesn't matter. It's not quicker to kill them as soon as you see them. Every hour in the game is timed, and that time is always fixed, which means that it makes no difference whether I kill them as soon as I see them or just let them live. So I can afford the circular saw right now, and I am going to buy that pretty soon. Well, okay, I'm going to buy it now actually. And quick menuing I do holding down the down button on the D-pad allows me to scroll down through the weapons and choose the saw. Okay, so now that I have the saw, I can start attacking the molded, which is what I'm doing now. I timed it so that when I bought the saw, I gathered the molded to the spawn room, and I'm just holding left trigger, right trigger to saw my way through. So that's how you kill the first 4 moldeds. You kill them like that. That's the strategy I like to use. And speaking of strategies, there are some pretty technical stuff I'm gonna cover. Okay, so earlier I said it really doesn't matter how long you wait or whether you... So that's the end of the first wave where it says warning, defeat all enemies. As soon as it says warning, defeat all enemies, this is when you have to speedrun and actually kill every molded as fast as possible. in the first hour, killing I think 2 moldeds, yeah, spawns these 4-legged moldeds here, and they are the sort of boss. It's like the boss fight for hour number 1. So standing next to this turret allows all the 4-legged moldeds to come to you, and there we go, that's it. Hour 1 done and dusted and complete. Oh, actually, now it is. Was meant to kill him earlier. I wasted about 1 second, but it really doesn't matter. Okay, so that's hour 1 done and dusted. And moving on to hour number 2. Hour number 2 is very easy, and there really isn't much to explain about it, really. You'll notice that I am collecting scraps, and you might think, well, okay, why are you collecting scraps? There really is no reason to get the money in this game. You don't need to buy ammo since you have the circular saw. Why on earth would you buy scraps? Well, the answer to that is I will need scraps to buy first aid, whatever they call those medicine things. I always call them FASs because of the old Resident Evil games. Chem fluids, that's it. How could I ever forget? Anyway, so I have to buy a few chem fluids in case things get out of hand. And I also am interested in buying speed upgrades so that I can run around and finish off enemies as soon as I see them when it says compactors are stopping in 40 seconds. And right now I am just standing next to compactor 2 and just waiting for the moldeds to make their way towards me. So, like I said earlier, right now you can take your time all you want. The time it takes for the wave to enter in the modes where compactors stop in 40 seconds is always fixed. And therefore, killing moldeds as soon as you see them, or just running around the map and not killing anyone, doesn't affect the time it takes for you to enter the warning stage. I am just killing moldeds for fun and trying. In the background I am actually trying to save up for infinite ammo, and by killing moldeds you will get extra points. Killing molded gives you extra points. Alright, so here's the warning stage of hour number 2. It is the first appearance of Jack Baker. He will spawn either that side, where I'm facing now, or that side. And it looks like he spawned here. To deal with Jack is really easy. I got unlucky there. He can do 2 attacks. One is to grab you like that, and then you can just hold the block and then you'll be okay. Or the other attack he does is when he headbutts you. Well, not headbutts you, he hits his knee with your head and injures you. Really easy boss fight here. A little bit of RNG is required. So right there I got bad RNG. He hit me with his knee. Crouch, dodge his shots, move back, block when you need to, and he's done. Really easy hour. No problems whatsoever. Okay, so moving into hour number 3. There are 5 hours in total. I very quickly bought, you probably missed that, but what I did was enter the scrap shop and purchased the speed upgrades, and I upgraded my speed to the maximum. I did practice menuing that, so you guys probably might have missed that due to the fact that I did it quite fast. So that's an example of the spawn trap, right? What I did right there. As you can see, I just waited at his spawn spot, and when he was crawling out of his home, I just went full on aggression and sawed my way through. Okay, so now I'm just waiting at spawn point number 2, which is right here underneath this sink. I was hoping one would spawn there, but instead he spawned all the way over here. No matter though, I did finish. It really doesn't matter. Spawn points aren't important. It really doesn't affect the speedrun at all. Well, bear in mind this is not a speedrun at all. It's just a challenge run where no guns are allowed. But please bear in mind that the only guns that are allowed are the ones from the turrets, not from the scrap shop. Okay, so using the saw is actually quite risky. What you can do is, what I like to do is saw through their legs, and by doing so, they fall to the ground immediately, and whilst they're falling to the ground, carry on sawing through them, and then eventually they will die. A risk factor is that as you're doing so, they can still attack you if you're not aiming your sword properly. So doing a saw only run is a bit risky, but I managed to pull it off quite well. Okay, this hour I think is the longest hour. Actually, the second longest hour. The longest one is the hour after. So, very boring. Nothing really much to say. Just preparation for the future hours. Saving up for first aid meds if I need them, or adrenaline, so I can rush through Jack, and I don't have to worry about taking risks because the adrenaline will save me. And for those of you who do not know, adrenaline revives you from if someone kills Clancy, then you will be revived immediately with full health. So basically you die and come back alive again. I got critical health there, so I had to heal immediately before I progressed to attack. Right here I'm just messing around, killing these moldeds as fast as possible. It's only when, like I said, it's only when... Okay, so for this bit, I buy the pistol turret because the fat moldeds are a pain in the neck with the circular saw. As you can see, when you try sawing through them, the acid from their body splashes onto Clancy, and then you get injured, and it takes up quite a lot of health. See right there? Really hard to deal with the fat moldeds, but since there's only one for this hour, it's not that much of a problem. You just have to be careful when it comes to sawing through the fat moldeds, because their acid just spits all over you, and then if you're not careful, then you can actually die. Alright, so second to last hour is now. I am buying some adrenaline, and this is for the last boss. So this is for the Jack encounter, the adrenaline. So Jack can do a finishing move, a fatality move, which is where he, if you get hit by that move, then you will die immediately. There's no surviving. But with adrenaline, you can survive, obviously, because it revives you. Another spawn trap here. It's quite cool to watch spawn traps. And at this point, really, scraps do not mean anything to me, because I have everything I need for the last hour. I obviously don't buy any ammunition, so that's unnecessary, and I've got enough health to last me the whole game. Therefore, scraps is pretty much useless. So right there, I managed to saw through 3 moldeds, had to block an attack, and that's really good because I didn't get bitten. Okay, so I remember doing that. That was a mistake. What I should have done was move to the left side of the compactor so that when he jumps, he misses me completely, but instead I completely forgot about him and then he just jumped on me and I nearly died. I was on critical health after he attacked me there, so which is why I immediately healed up afterwards. So that's the example of a spawn trap on spawn point number 2. You just duck by pressing R3 if you're playing on a PS4, so that you're in line and at the same height as the molded as soon as he spawns, which allows you to just saw through him without any issues. You'll notice that I go for the 4-legged moldeds first, and that is very, very important, because when you're running away from the ordinary moldeds, then the 4-legged moldeds can catch up to you, and they can be a real pain. So I'm trying, yeah, there we go. I moved here because I knew a molded would spawn at spawn point number 1, and got a fast, quick kill. Even though these quick kills do not matter whatsoever, I still go for them. Otherwise it would be a very boring video to watch. Right, so there's a 4-legged molded there. I just crouch and aim a little bit up with my saw so that as soon as he jumps, he gets his head decapitated. Alright, so now we're in the warning stage. I have to speedrun this bit and kill every molded as fast as possible so that the hour ends. The boss fight for this hour is 2 fat moldeds. And my strat for dealing with 2 fat moldeds is to buy the turret level 2, which is a machine gun. Dealing with fat moldeds is difficult because, as I said earlier, they spit acid on you. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the fat moldeds to spawn. But before they do, you have to kill all the little ones, so kill them as fast as possible first. I moved back a bit so that what I tried to do was move back a bit and make them jump and land in front of me but do not hit me. but unfortunately one of them managed to get me. Alright, so here they are, here they come. Normally they spawn, I try to get them to spawn right next to each other, as I do in my knife only speedruns. If you haven't seen those, I'll put them in the description. I hold the world record for knife only, go check that out. Anyways, so I bought the turret on the wall, and as you can see it looks very tough. Like non-stop. As soon as you saw through their body, acid comes out and rains on your face. I don't know why, I made a mistake there. I bought the barrel, the flammable barrel, and I don't know why I did that. I really shouldn't have. Waste of scraps, but scraps don't matter, so doesn't really matter anyways. Alright, so I'm sawing their legs because sometimes you can get lucky and make them kneel on the floor when you saw their leg like that, and by doing so the acid doesn't spit in your face. So right now I'm on critical health, I better heal up, and I just about managed to heal in time. That as you can see, that was really close. If I was like half a second later, I would have been dead. Alright, so first fat guy down. I bought the wire trap, which inflicted a little bit of damage, but just enough for the fat guy to die.
It's almost morning. Keep it together.
Okay, so moving on to the last hour. The last hour is actually surprisingly very, very easy. Very easy hour to do. The last hour is actually very short as well. Very short indeed. You'd think that the last hour would be the longest and the hardest, with the toughest boss fight, but it's actually not. Alright, so there's another spawn trap I did. Timed it just right. So by the time I got to the spawn point, he was there, ready to die. So I have everything I need to deal with Jack Baker, who is coming up really soon. And I've got enough chem fluids. I keep forgetting what they're called. They're called chem fluids. Damn it. I've got enough chem fluids. Actually, I bought way too many chem fluids, and I bought adrenaline. So in case Jack does his finishing move, then I can survive. But it turns out I did not need any adrenaline whatsoever, so waste of scraps. Okay, so the time now is 23:55 minutes. Sorry, 23 minutes 55 seconds. Okay, so a few moldeds to go, and then it's the Jack boss fight coming up. Another thing to note is when you're dealing with Jack, moldeds can still spawn, and if you kill Jack but leave moldeds alive, then the game will still end. So you don't have to kill every single molded in order to complete the game. And I think, yeah, that's what happened. Whilst I was dealing with Jack, there were a few moldeds trying to get me as well. But I defeated Jack and kept a few moldeds alive, I think. Alright, so Jack is here right now. a thing to help me with the Jack fight is the turret level 3, which is the Magnum. It's shooting at his head right now. Alright, so the strat for Jack is to constantly saw through him like that, and only block just before he tries to attack. So that's his finishing move there. If he got me there, then the adrenaline would revive me. If I didn't have adrenaline, it would have been game over. Alright, so I trap him in that little gap there, and I saw through him and press block at just the right time to do a frame perfect block, which means that I save the most time possible. And the sword does a lot of damage, much more damage than the knife, so a really quick Jack boss fight right there. He's dead. Timer stops now, and the time is 25 minutes 49 seconds. And that is how you do saw only or guns not allowed for Resident Evil 7 Nightmare. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment.